Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we will see the dynamic link libraries. Basically, we will call it as DLL files, and this DLL files will be used by the threat actors to deliver their malware successfully into the operating system, into the Windows machines, which are running on the target. Okay, so let's take an example of DLL first. Then we'll go for an APIs. So in a previous video you see there is a process executable file exe file, so you can see the magic value 4D 5A and MZ. So the DLL files, it's like a library files. Okay, basically we will say this file as a PE file only, not C or any other programming files. We will call this as a PE file only, but this kind of DLL has a import and export function. So let take an example of you are going to develop one of a browser application, and the browser application needs to communicate with the internet, right? So you need to face you need to face more challenges when you are developing that code, right? So because you have to implement a lot of protocols and functions to use that. Okay, but what Microsoft created the custom DLLs, and they placed in the OS system folders like Windows system 32. So you need to use the DLL. Okay, so it's a simple way. They already created a DLL for you, already created every functions, every code for you. So you need to use the DLL and functions, and you can develop a simple browser application. Okay, so if you need to develop a browser application with 1,000 lines of code, so if Microsoft has that custom DLLs that has been already placed on the Windows 32, so your code will be reduced to 300 or 400 lines. Okay, so the Microsoft already contains all the codes and function. You need to use that code in your program, that's all. Okay, so that's called as a dynamic link library files. That's the library files we are using, that library files for our application for several functionalities. Okay, so let me give a few examples. There is a kernel32.dll that has been under the system 32 folder. So this DLL has a function to read a memory, write a memory, and creating a space in the memory, and every API functions we have. Okay, so the next we have a API 32.dll. So if you want to encrypt any data in your machine, so this DLL will be there. So if you want to develop software applications like that needs to encrypt your data manually, you can use this DLL. You don't need to manually code everything. You can use this DLL, and you can use the DLL functions, and you can code it. Okay, and if you need to develop a browser application, you have a URLmon. So URLmon.dll will help you to downloading the files, uploading the files, web compressions, working with URLs, everything. Okay. So you don't need to do much, but Microsoft created everything, and you have to use that program, and you can develop your own application. So that will be easy. So every system programmers needs to understand. They have a idea about this kind of DLLs present in the Microsoft. Okay. So let's take a simple example of DLL first. Let's get onto the Windows machine, and we'll go for a Windows. Let's find the system 32 folder, and here you can see a lot of files. There is a lot of DLL will be placed here. Let me search for some kernel. So you can see there is a kernel32.dll was there. We already discussed, right? So we will pull this DLL into the PE loader. let me create another. Let me load on another explorer, and we will load our DLL inside our PEBR, and we will see how the DLLs will be, how the format of the DLLs and all. Okay, so let's load the kernel based DLL. Kernel 32.dll. Let's place the DLL into our PEBR. So yesterday you have seen the similar kind of data in the exe file. You can see the same data with the MEZ format. I already said the DLL is also an executable file, so it will be in the MEZ, and magic numbers will be 4D and 5A of that. And we have another headers, and the NT headers, you can see it's pointing to the PE, portable executable format. And we have seen a text section, resource section, what are the things we have basically. Okay, so let's go to the imports and export functions present in the DLLs. So you can see a lot of functions here, and a lot of exports and import functions from here. Okay, so this all are the functions which will be used for several things. So you can see create job object A, create something, create process. We need to use this DLL when you need to create a process. Create remote thread of. So we'll go for more interesting. Let's go for V alphabet, and we will see something. Oh, nothing in the V. Let's take an example. Don't go for V. Let's take an example of another functions like create object or create remote thread of. So there's a create remote thread. So let's research something about the create remote thread. So we'll go for Google, and let's go into the malapi.io. So if this is the repository, this contains a lot of functions present under the DLL. Okay, it's basically, we can say it's an API functions. So it give a information about the API function. Okay, so let's take a real example here. You can see a create remote thread of function will be there. So in the same way, you can see the injection. So here you can see the create remote thread. So the create remote thread will be used to create a thread runs in a virtual address space of another process. So we can learn more about this create remote thread of in upcoming sessions. So there is a lot of APIs that will be used for malware development. So you can see everything from each and everything from here. So let's go for a virtual lock. So this is the API function which I have searched. This will be used to allocate some memory for a process. Okay, whenever you double click on any of the application, though that application will be loaded inside the memory, right? So you need to allocate some memory, allocate some space in the memory, right? So you'll be using the virtual lock of function. So the kernel 32 will be loaded, this library will be loaded. this library contains these functions. So this function will be used for allocating some space inside the memory, CPU or hard disk, whatever you can say, or RAM. Okay. So after allocation only you can load your process inside the memory, right? So that's the overall explanations of the virtual log. I just searched this virtual log ex of, okay, so nothing there. I was just checking this virtual log ex of functions whether we can investigate much. Let's go to the import function. So import section, there we have nothing much, but in a export section only we have a lot of things. Okay. So export section is like we are so if any of the applications need to use our functions, like create a remote thread of, they can able to use that. We can export that functions to that applications. Okay, so import is like we are importing something from some of the application and we are using that for further features and further stuffs. Okay, doing some other things. Okay. Yeah, here you can see there is a virtual log, virtual log and virtual log ex of present under here, right? So this is the overall explanation for what the DLL will be contains, and again I am saying the text section contain all the codings which needs to be executed. So let's develop our own DLL and we will see so how to develop our own DLL. Let's load the Kali machine. So this is the very simple example of developing your own DLL. So one more thing you need to understand, the DLL files are so if you want to execute the DLL files, so you can't able to execute the DLL file. Let me click on any of the DLLs like Qt5 widget. So it will not load. Okay, it will not load. Basically it will not execute. We can't able to execute this DLL blindly. So when you are loading the PEBR, okay, so let's see here, I am loading the PEBR. So this PEBR will use the Qt5 widgets.dll. So this PEBR will use the code present inside the Qt5 widgets.dll and it will load the applications. Okay, we can blindly execute the DLL files by double clicking on the Windows machine. Okay, but we have several other ways. The malware threat actors will be used other ways to execute the DLL. I will be discussing that in this video only. Okay, so if I place this DLL in, if I cut and paste this DLL in some other folders like Q5 widget, and now if I try to load the PEBR, my PEBR will not be loaded because it was saying some DLL will be missed, right? So I just pasted into the pictures session. So let me replace that from here to here. So now my application will be normally get loaded. Okay, so this is the way the Windows application will use the DLL for their purpose. Okay, if you want to develop any other programs, any other application for a Windows, you need to use the DLL for that. So absolutely we are also using the DLL for our malware development. Okay, so let's play with our own DLL. We learned everything about the DLLs. Okay, this is a simple program which we have developed, and this is the entry point of the DLL, run message box.exe. Instead of the message box you can say, so it will display just a hello world. Okay, so you can develop a DLL in several ways, but I just developed the DLL with the entry point. So this is the entry point for the DLL. So if you need to execute the DLL, you need to call the entry point of the function, like any API functions. So this is the API function. So I already said, so if your application needs to communicate or allocating any virtual space inside the memory, you need to use several API functions like virtual ex. This is like that. This is the function of the entry point. We will say this is the entry point of the DLL. So if you need to execute this DLL, you need to call the entry point manually. So the threat actors will do like that. I will explain that in the same video. So this is the it will just display the hello from DLL. Okay, just it will not return any much things. So it will be under the it will be the files are under the videos, but we will do one thing. We will save this file in some other directory like music. So to reduce our confusion, cpp hello, let me rename this as hello test.cpp. Let's save a program in the music folder. Let's go to music and we'll open a terminal here. Else we'll go for videos and let's see, redirect to the music folder. So now you can see the cpp file was present under the folder. Let's compile this. So you can use this compiler to compile the DLL files. So our DLL will be this the line. This is the DLL file which I was tested before, though don't worry about that. Okay, so hello test, our DLL file will be the hello test, right? So test.cpe, and we need to save the DLL as a hello test.dll. So let's execute this. Now you can see our DLL was compiled. So now you can see the hello test.dll was present here. Let me go to the Windows machine and we will give me a second. Let me do my fan. Yeah, so better. We will copy this DLL into the server folder. Give me some time. I was unable to open the folders from here, so I just will copy from here by the command itself, where www html, we'll name it as a hello test dot. Let me run with the Udemy Udemy course hello test dot DLL. So I think now the hello test.dll will be copied there. Let me go to the Windows machine and we will see that my IP address will be 192.168.18.3/Udemy course. So our DLL was there, hello test.dll. Let's download this file. Keep this file. So now our DLL hello test.dll will be placed in the download folder. Let's load a PEB here and we will investigate this DLL a little bit to understand everything about the DLL. So I already said DLL will have a entry point, right? So it has several functions. So let's load the PE and load a DLL which we have created. Let's go to so import table or exports. So now you can see the run message box. There is only one function named run message box was there, and this is the strings, okay, of the DLL. I already said the test session contained the code hello from DLL. Everything was there which we have developed. Let's execute this DLL. So I already mentioned, if you want to execute a DLL, you need a executable file, right? Some exe file need to call the DLL and need to, but threat actor will do it in a different way. They have a different approach. So we already know there is an entry point of the DLL. So the entry point of the DLL was a run message box. We discussed that program. We discussed that program previously, right? So we can use one of the tool that was inbuilt in Windows called run DLL32.exe. So the run DLL32.exe basically has features, functionalities to execute a DLL files. Okay, so let's call the run DLL32.exe. So you can see there is no errors get popped up. Let me execute this hello test.dll. So I already said if you want to execute a DLL using the run DLL32.exe, you need to know the entry point from the DLL, right? If we know the entry point will be the run message box here, but threat actors will do the same. They will develop a DLL, and they are developing the DLL, so they have a entry point of the DLL, so they will execute the DLL with an entry point. Okay, so our entry point is a run message box. I'm doing the same, run message box. So this is the way the threat actors will execute the DLLs in a suspicious way inside the target host. Okay, so now you can see, so our hello from DLL, so which we have written, that has been called. Okay, so threat actor plays a malicious code instead of hello from DLL, and they will execute the DLL by using the process run DLL32.exe. Okay, so this is the overall explanation of the DLL. We have already crossed 21 minutes. So we will see you guys in the next section, next video. Bye bye. So we have completed the DLL things. I hope you have cleared about that. Yeah, see you. Bye.